So Shams was on ESPN and he said they're changing the NBA All Star format. It's going to be a 4-team tournament with 8 players on each team, and one team would be comprised of a rising star winner. I have so many thoughts on this. First off, it feels like Adam Silver is just stealing ideas from Ice Cube. Ice Cube always said that for some odd reason the NBA hates the Big Three. I don't know why the NBA hates the Big Three. The Big Three never interferes. It's not like the Big Three starts in like January or after the All Star game. The Big Three starts when the season ends or near when the season ends, and they go through the summer. The only thing that happens in the NBA during the summer is you got the draft and you got free agency. But most part, the Big Three is usually in the summer. And in a lot of ways, I wish the WNBA was like that, where the WNBA should start when the Big Three starts and probably ends when the Big Three ends. I think that's better because the WNBA, then they start getting into the NFL and baseball and the World Series. Like it's kind of problematic for this sport. But yeah, so and the NBA has always had an extra grind with Ice Cube and the Big Three. And it's crazy to me because it's not like Ice Cube is using current players. Like the only current player that went to play in the Big Three was Jaylen Brown. And he only did that like maybe once. Ice Cube has guys who either the league kicked out, they didn't make the league for whatever reason, or they were retired. There's no current play. LeBron's not playing in the Big Three. Steph Curry's not playing in the Big Three. So I'm not sure why Adam Silver felt this way. But instead of just saying, this is what they should have done. Keep the All-Star game the same. Work with Cube on having another like Big Three tournament in the All-Star weekend where you take, okay, so when you have March Madness, right? You have March Madness, and then the teams that don't make March Madness, you have the NIT. Take players who didn't make the All-Star game and do a 3-on-3 tournament. So you have the All-Star game on Sunday, and then maybe Friday night or Saturday night, probably Friday night. Yeah, Friday night, you have a Big Three. You have a Big Three with players who almost made the All-Star team. And then you have a lot of fun. You can say Big Three and NBA Big Three. And then you have Ice Cube, my name. You know, he does his theme song. Had the Big Three theme or whatever. And then it'll be fun. And then you just still have the 3-point shootout and the slam dunk contest and all that stuff. But that's the best way to go. I don't know what Adam Silver is doing. You know, once upon a time, I thought Adam Silver was a really good commissioner. And I think he's decent. He's not horrible, right? But as the years go along, Adam Silver, I think, is trying to implement his legacy into the NBA, and it's not working. Adam Silver, to me, he kind of reminds me of Tim Cook at Apple. Now, Tim Cook has made a lot of money from Apple, but he's not Steve Jobs. Apple has not been as innovative since Jobs' death, but Tim Cook has made a lot of money for them. And Adam Silver was the same way. Adam Silver came after David Stern. Now, David Stern was super successful with the NBA. Tough guy, tough dude. Tough guy. But he understood marketing and business. He didn't like the fact that Michael Jordan at first was wearing Air Jordans. I think he fined Mike for his Air Jordans. But I think once David Stern saw how many pairs of shoes Jordan was selling with Nike, I think Stern was like, you know what? Maybe we need to get into the sneaker game. And if you watch the NBA now, everybody got a different pair of sneakers on. And that's just because David Stern saw the future and said, you know what? Maybe I should change a little bit. Stern was like that. He was good at recalibrating, right? But it made sense because the people wanted the Jordans, and Stern saw cross-pollination when it comes to marketing with Air Jordan and all that stuff. The thing about Adam Silver is Adam Silver's trying to implement things that say, hey, I did this type of stuff. I think he actually wants to grow the game. But I think he's doing things that I don't really care about. Like the in-season tournament. First season was all right. It was different. You got the funky floors. It's all right. But the Lakers won the in-game tournament in 2023, and the Lakers didn't even make the Western Conference Finals. At the end of the day, yeah, they won this in-season tournament. But what did the Lakers really win? Nothing. Nothing at all. And now they're playing again. Like my Cavs, they're like the top team. It's like them, Boston, and OKC this season, right? But the Cavs, they didn't play well within the tournament. But it doesn't mean the Cavs are going to suck the rest of the season. They just didn't make the tournament. So you might have a team that wins the tournament and they probably won't do well in the playoffs. But I guess we'll see. So we got that. And I think Silver, he brought that in from soccer or football, as they say across the pond. So for soccer, it's different. Like overseas, when they playing football, they have a bunch of in-season tournaments. That they're kind of used to that. It's part of the culture over there. But even the commentators over there feels like there might be too many in-season tournaments with them. Maybe some of the star players need to cut back from that. So Adam Silver must be a soccer fan, which is totally fine. But what works in international football, what we call soccer, might not work here. And now the ratings have plummeted. Part of it is, I think there's a lack of name. I think we don't know the college players coming in like we used to. Like when Wemby was drafted, like a couple years ago now, like a year ago, he was drafted. So we kind of heard about Wemby before he came to the league, but we just don't recognize the names anymore for these young guys coming through because they stay like 1 year and we don't really get to know them, right? But that's something that the league has to work out with the NCAA. Because back in the day, you had the Big East, I mean, you had UNLV, you had Duke, you had North Carolina, you had all these players coming into the league, and you knew who they were coming in, but it's not like this. It's a different time now. And another thing that I think Silver messed up is with moving the games next season. It's going to be on NBC, Peacock, and Amazon. I get why he was upset because David Zaslav, the worst CEO on any TV platform, he is horrible. The head of Warner Brothers Discovery, he said, we don't need the NBA. Now, TNT is under Warner Brothers Discovery, and he said, we don't need the NBA. Charles Barkley said, that's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Why would you? Because the NBA and TNT has had like a 40+ year relationship. Why would you kill it by saying something so stupid? Adam Silver heard that and is like, oh, really? So then he just decides when their contract was up with Warner Bros. Discovery, he went to NBC and he's like, do you want this? So the games now will be on NBC and Peacock and Amazon. I get why Silver was upset with Zaslav. Zaslav is an idiot. But he was thinking short term because I really don't think the audience is going to watch these games on Amazon Prime. I don't really think the audience is going to watch these games on Peacock. So yeah, it's on NBC, which is great, but I don't trust their coverage. That means I got to see Mike Tirico again. And I know people say, oh my God, Mike Tirico's so great. Listen, he is Brian Gumbel light. And no offense, listen, I love Brian Gumbel, right? I'm a Brian Gumbel fan. The one reason why I like Brian Gumbel is that Brian Gumbel is always fiery. Like Brian Gumbel didn't play around with anybody. But I think the reason that they like Tirico is that Tirico he just takes it. He just laughs and jokes, and he sounds like Gumbel, but he's not as tough as Gumbel. And he just annoys me for some reason. So I don't dislike him. Listen, I'm a Gus Johnson guy. I love Gus Johnson. I love Kevin Harlan. I love dudes like that. I love dudes with a lot of fire and style. Tirico's just Tirico. So I don't know what they're going to do with the NBA coverage over there. Like Rick Pitino said once upon a time, paraphrasing, Marv Albert is not walking through that door. We do not have Marv Albert like we did back in the day on NBC. It's going to be a whole new thing. And like, I'm sure Dwayne Wade might be part of that team. And no offense to Wade, but I don't care about his painted fingernails watching my NBA games. Shout out to Dwayne Wade, but I don't care. So I'm not trusting the NBA coverage on NBC either. I think Adam Silver is really messing up. I don't think he's a bad commissioner, but I think he's been making decisions that's turning him into a bad commissioner. So all the things that I mentioned, the in-season tournament, this whole All-Star game thing, NBA taking their games to Peacock and Amazon and NBC. What do you think is the worst? And how do you think the NBA can get out of this? Because if the ratings keeps tumbling, it doesn't matter what happens on Amazon and Peacock. Because if no one cares, that's a bad deal. However, they did make a lot of money. So the players will benefit from this because they're getting a lot of money from these networks. But long term, the popularity of the brand is going to go down, especially when LeBron retires and Steph Curry retires and Kevin Durant retires. It's going to be hard on Wemby and Ant-Man to carry that league.